All right, so let's look at some testing strategies. We're going to review them, practice them, and use that passage, the mentor text from yesterday that you guys annotated to actually make all of that happen. So really quick, to really do a close read, you need to read a passage fully through 3 times. So we're going to read this one together one more time, and I will point out afterwards some of the annotations that I saw from you guys. So one more time. And we need to do this before we start answering. If you look here, we got questions coming. Before we start answering these questions, we always read the full passage, always. So when you get your test tomorrow, what does that mean? You need to read the full passage before you start looking at the questions. It is a huge hack to tip/trick to be able to answer those questions correctly, because you need to have the big picture of what's going on to answer 8th grade level questions. If you just read the question and you go back and look for the answer, you're probably going to accidentally pick one of the distractor answers. So read the full passage twice or 3 times if you need to. Here we go. Excerpt from Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. Mrs. King had just plowed her way through a popular picture book. It featured the hallmarks of most preschool literature: repetition, some kind of annoying rhyming, and bold-faced scientific lies. I remember Mrs. King asking the class, "How does this book make you feel?" The appropriate answer, as far as she was concerned, was tired, because the overly cheery instructor forced us to lie down on sticky rubber mats for 20 minutes after lunchtime picture book. While my classmates dozed off, I obsessively worried about the hygiene of the linoleum floor. I recall looking around at my fellow inmates thinking, would someone, anyone, just shout out the word tired? After days of hearing more lies from an adult than I've been exposed to in my whole lifetime, everything from how fairies cleaned up the classroom at night to insane explanations for earthquake preparedness kits, I was at some kind of breaking point. So when the teacher specifically said, "Willow, how does this book make you feel?" I had to tell the truth. It makes me feel really bad. The moon can't hear someone say goodnight. It is 235,000 miles away, and bunnies don't live in houses. Also, I don't think the artwork is very interesting. But really, hearing you read the book makes me feel bad mostly because I know it means you are going to make us all lie down on the floor, and germs there could make us sick. There's a thing called salmonella, and it is very dangerous, especially to kids. That afternoon, I learned the word weirdo because that's what I was called by the other kids. All right, guys, so some of the annotations that I saw from you guys, just going to kind of go down this. You can follow along on the left or the right if you want to. One, I had somebody circle the title and ask, why is it called Counting by Sevens? Another annotation I had, they said that Mrs. King reminds them of their own kindergarten teacher. Somebody else said, I remember when we were supposed to take naps in school. I miss those days. I actually really liked that annotation because nowhere in here does it say that the class is going to take a nap. So they had to put those pieces together, that they're reading a book, it's supposed to make them feel tired, and they have to lie down on those mats after lunchtime. Somebody said, the character is interesting. I wonder what's going on with this whole bold-faced scientific lies thing. They want to know how old this kid is and why they're saying that. Somebody said, reading books makes me sleepy too. Somebody said they really loved, they put like a heart emoji. It was really cool. They said they loved how this kid tells the teacher exactly what they think. And that was circled right down here where it said, I had to tell the truth. They said, you guys also said, about the book with the moon being far away and bunnies and houses. They said, I think I remember that book from when I was little, but I don't remember the name. Somebody else noticed, and this is a really good thing to notice, this main character, Willow, is taking everything literally. So this is probably a kid's book like Goodnight Moon or Runaway Bunny. And this kid is like, bunnies don't live in houses. You know, like in little kids' books, animals talk and crazy things can happen. Well, this kid is like, it makes me sad because that can't really happen. So this is not a kid that likes fantasy stuff. This kid is really afraid of germs. Earlier, she talked about being obsessively worrying about the hygiene. By the way, if you didn't know what hygiene meant, I did have several of you guys circle this word and put a question mark. Remember, you can just go to Google and look up that word and see what it means. How the heck does a little kid know about salmonella? So that was cool. Some of you guys also circled that word. And then also, I'm trying to see what this bottom one says. This kid, darn, now I can't see it. Go away. There goes. This kid is a weirdo, but I like her/him. Okay, so we're going to use this, which is basically the reason you guys do this is because it gives you a closer understanding of what's going on in this passage and lets you sort of process it. So what we're going to look at now, this is supposed to say testing strategies. That did not go well. What we're going to look at now are some testing strategies to help you with that test tomorrow. So you got a couple of different types of questions. The first one, first type of questions are conflict and theme. You have inferencing questions and author's purpose questions. We're going to take these all sort of one at a time. All right, so conflict and theme questions. Quick reminder, what the heck is conflict? Conflict is the problem. This is like when your parent tells you, go clean your room, and you're like, no. The conflict is you don't want to clean your room. It's the problem. Theme is going to be the central message of something. So maybe Moana, the theme is, actually, I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen Moana, but Moana would be, the theme would be like finding yourself, discovering your own identity, finding where your call comes from. The theme a lot of times can also be expressed in like one word or a small phrase. So maybe like identity or discovery. Sorry. Okay, so let's see. So in this excerpt, and I just want this to go through it quick, so I want you guys to discover this. What is the main conflict in this excerpt? So I'm really asking, what is the main problem in this excerpt? So that's an example of a question you might be asked. You totally know what this problem is. This kid's got a problem. Another example is, what event specifically triggers the main problem? This word triggers here doesn't mean to make angry. Triggers like, like if you trigger something, you start something, right? So they want to know what event starts this big conflict, this main problem in the excerpt. This one I'll go ahead and talk to you guys about. I would guess it has something to do with this right here. The problem started when the instructor made our main character lie down on the floor for 20 minutes. I could also see somebody saying it happened when the teacher asked how that made them feel, but she was already at a breaking point, right? The problem started way before then. So you want to find what actually started that problem. What effect does blank's action have on the solution or the ending of the excerpt? So solution is like the ending. So what effect does our main character's actions have on the ending of the excerpt? Well, her action was to speak out against the teacher and let her know exactly what she thought. How did that affect our ending? What did the other kids think about our main character by the end? Finally, read these sentences. While my classmates dozed off, I obsessively worried about the hygiene of the linoleum floor. What do these sentences show about our character? I'm going to let you guys answer that one. What do these sentences actually show about our character? If you're not sure of certain words like obsessively and hygiene and linoleum, you can just hop on the Google. Oh, we got one more. Which statement best expresses the main theme of the excerpt? This one's actually really hard. It will always appear as a multiple choice question. You're going to be given 4 different sentences, and you're going to be asked which one expresses the main theme. So to be able to answer a question like this, you have to have read the entire passage and understand what's going on. So at this point, the main theme of this excerpt probably has something to do with not fitting in with the other kids or standing out or worrying about germs. I would say it's about fitting in or lack thereof. So which statement best expresses the main theme? Well, my guess is it's probably going to be this one right here. You'd have 4 choices, but I would guess it'd be that afternoon I learned the word weirdo because that's what I was called by the other kids. Inferencing. Oh no. That sounds familiar, but what does it mean? Super easy. Inferencing is using clues provided by the author to figure things out. If you guys have heard the word inferencing in science and you're like, but that's not what it means in science. Basically, inferencing is when you take pieces, little bitty pieces, like pieces of a puzzle, and you look at all those separate pieces and then you try to imagine the big picture that they make. So you're looking at these pieces and pulling them together to see the big picture. What do these clues point to? So you're reading between the lines, kind of. So these are going to be inferencing questions. The reader can conclude that when the narrator answers the teacher's question, she is. So we know this is an inferencing question because it's asking, what can you figure out from this? So the narrator answers the teacher's question down here, right? All the way from she's sad, it makes her feel bad, it's not realistic, she hates that she's going to lie down, they're going to get salmonella. So what can the reader actually figure out about the narrator from her question? I'll let you guys answer that one. Which of these best expresses the narrator's irritation with her classmates? You could pick your own on this one. Of the entire passage, just take a second to look at it. Which phrase do you think best expresses the narrator's frustration or irritation with her classmates? It's not this bottom one, right? Because this is just her saying what her classmates called her. We need to find a place where she's irritated with her classmates. A lot of times strong emotion in a passage is in italics. So here we go. I recall looking around at my fellow inmates thinking, would anyone just shout the word tired? Which sentence best explains why the teacher read the book to the class? So there's nothing in this passage that says this is why the teacher read the book. So you're going to have read this passage and understand, why did this teacher read the book? What was the purpose of the teacher reading this picture book to the class? Was it just to make our narrator angry? You would have to read between the lines. And this is where those annotations come in major handy, because one student said, I remember nap time. Well, somebody put the pieces together that there was a picture book and the main character thinks that they're supposed to say it makes them feel tired. They're having to lie down after lunchtime and they're supposed to be feeling sleepy. So the sentence that best explains why the teacher read the book to the class, you would find a sentence that basically shows that maybe it's because they're about to have nap time. Author's purpose. So author's purpose can mean a couple of different things. When we're writing, author's purpose is going to be about like, who's the author writing this for and why are they writing it? But for this author's purpose, for our reading test, it's going to be, why did this author make certain choices in the things they included in this passage, and why did they choose to say things certain ways? So two short examples of this. Why did the author include this particular paragraph? What was the purpose of that? So let's look at this paragraph. After days of hearing more lies from an adult than I'd been exposed to in my whole lifetime, everything from how fairies cleaned up the classroom at night to insane explanations for earthquake preparedness kits, I was at some kind of breaking point. So why did the author include this? Just imagine this passage just imagine this whole excerpt without that passage. Imagine reading straight from the narrator being angry that nobody would say tired to just answering the teacher with this really snarky answer. So it's important that they included this paragraph so we could see what the character was thinking, and specifically that the character was at their breaking point, so that when she breaks in the next paragraph, we're ready for it. Finally, the author included this line in order to. So you might get a question that asks about a specific paragraph or even a specific line. So we want to know, why did the author include this line? Again, always imagine what would happen if I took it out. So what am I going to be missing if we took it out? That afternoon, I learned the word weirdo because that's what I was called by the other kids. So why did the author specifically include this line? I'll leave that one up to you guys too. All right, guys, good luck. You're welcome to come back to this if you need to while you are taking your test. I don't recommend it, though. I recommend just doing your best on your test tomorrow. All the explanation about how to take your test, I'm going to move that to tomorrow, right before you take the test. All right, bye for now.